Let's be honest, when you saw the San Francisco 49ers select quarterback Curtis Rohr out of Indiana with the 227th overall pick in the 7th round of the 2025 NFL Draft, your first reaction was probably somewhere between confusion and disbelief. And if you weren't scratching your head, you were probably asking yourself, why? Why a quarterback now? Why him? Why not plug one of the many other gaps the team still has? It's a natural response. Drafting a quarterback who might not even get reps in training camp doesn't exactly scream urgency or impact. But here's where it gets interesting. Because while on the surface this move seems like a head scratcher, there's a bigger picture here that a lot of people might be missing. And once you start to peel back the layers of this decision, it actually starts to make a whole lot of sense. Now look, we're talking about a team that has already experienced firsthand how important it is to be deep at quarterback. You don't have to go back far. Just think about what happened with Brock Purdy. The guy was literally the last pick in the entire draft. Pick number 262, known around the league as Mr. Irrelevant. And yet he didn't just make the team, he saved it. He stepped in when no one expected anything from him and led the offense like a seasoned pro. That kind of story doesn't just happen out of luck. It happens when a team builds smart, takes calculated risks, and thinks beyond just the immediate needs on the depth chart. So, when the 49ers made the call to draft Curtis Rohr, they weren't just grabbing a random name off the board. They had a plan. And to back that up, a well-respected NFL analyst, someone whose opinion carries serious weight, publicly said that this might actually be a brilliant move. According to that expert, Rohr is one of the most refined, intelligent, and precise quarterbacks in the entire 2025 draft class. Think about that for a second. We're not just talking about some project player with athletic upside. We're talking about a guy who's already operating at a high level in areas that matter most to NFL offenses: timing, anticipation, accuracy. These are the traits that separate the good from the great, and what makes it even more compelling is how Rohr played through adversity. This dude suffered a torn ACL and didn't just sit out or fade into the background. No, he kept playing, finished the season, and led Indiana to one of the best years in the program's history. He completed nearly 70% of his passes, threw for over 3,000 yards, notched 29 touchdowns with just 5 picks, and averaged an impressive 9.5 yards per attempt. Oh, and he did all that while playing on a leg that needed surgery. That's grit. That's leadership. That's the kind of mental and physical toughness you want in your quarterback room. He even finished 9th in the Heisman voting. No small feat when you're coming from a school that doesn't exactly dominate national headlines. And when you start comparing him to other quarterbacks in this draft class, the numbers and the intangibles start to paint a picture. He might not have the strongest arm in the group, but his footwork, balance, and decision-making are tailor-made for an offense like Kyle Shanahan's. Think quick reads, short timing routes, heavy play action, and a strong run game. Rohr fits that mold perfectly. So, was this pick really about adding a camp body? Or was it about investing in a player who could quietly become one of the most valuable assets on the roster, even if he never takes a snap? Because when you draft a quarterback in the 7th round, you're not looking for a miracle. You're looking for potential. You're making a bet. And history has shown us that sometimes, just sometimes, those bets pay off in a big way. We've seen teams spend 7th round picks on guys who didn't make the 53-man roster, but ended up becoming key trade assets later. And we've seen late round quarterbacks carve out long, productive careers, sometimes even taking over as full-time starters. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, it changes the trajectory of a franchise. Just look at what happened with Purdy. You think the 49ers regret using a pick on him now? So when you ask why San Francisco didn't go offensive line or defensive depth or a special team standout with that pick, consider this. They had 11 total selections in this draft. If they truly believed they had a hole at urgent on the offensive line, they should have addressed it earlier, right? You don't wait until the very last pick of your entire draft to plug a critical need. That's not how good front offices operate, which tells us something. It tells us that this pick wasn't about scrambling to fill a gap. It was a strategic move, one based on long-term value. And you know what else makes this even more logical? The NFL's recent roster rule changes. Now teams can promote a player from the practice squad on game day and have him serve as the third quarterback without burning a roster spot. That's a big deal, because it means a guy like Rohr could be developed in the background, get reps in the film room and scout team, and still be available if the worst case scenario hits. He doesn't have to be active every week. He doesn't have to beat out the number 2 guy right away. He just has to learn, improve, and be ready. And when you think about the quarterback position from a value perspective, there's simply no other position in football that offers this kind of return. Even an average quarterback can net you a decent trade package. A backup quarterback with potential on some preseason tape, that's currency in the NFL. So even if Rohr never sees the field in a regular season game for San Francisco, his presence alone could be a win. Develop him right, and he might fetch a mid-round pick in a future trade. Or he might be ready to step in if injuries strike. Either way, you're not wasting that selection. It's also worth noting that the 49ers have been down this road before. Just last year, when they couldn't land a quarterback in a draft, they signed one as a free agent, signaling that they're always thinking about that depth chart. They know how quickly things can spiral when you're down to your third or fourth guy. And with the way this team is built, with a roster stacked to win now, they can't afford to be caught unprepared. So investing in a quarterback, even a 7th rounder, is just smart business. Some fans might say this is overthinking it, that it's just a 7th round, that you go for raw athleticism or special teams talent there. But the truth is, every pick matters. You don't waste any of them. And if you have 11 picks, you use that luxury to take calculated risks. Curtis Rohr might not blow your way with measurables, but if he fits your system and plays smart football, that's a gamble. Worth taking. And don't forget, we're talking about a guy on a rookie contract. That's cheap labor at the most expensive position in the sport. That's cap space flexibility. That's future insurance. And that's the kind of move that doesn't always grab headlines on draft weekend, but can turn into gold later on. Of course, none of this is a guarantee. Rohr could come in, struggle with the playbook, fail to stand out in camp, and be waived before the regular season even starts. But even then, the risk is minimal. You spent a late 7th round pick. The upside vastly outweighs the downside. And if he hits, if he becomes a reliable backup, a future starter, or a trade chip, then you've hit the jackpot. We've seen late round picks become Pro Bowlers, All Pros, even Hall of Famers. We've seen guys fall through the cracks because they played at smaller schools or dealt with injuries or didn't test well at the combine. But when the tape is good, when the mental makeup is solid, and when the fit is right, that's when magic happens. So maybe this pick wasn't just about Curtis Rohr. Maybe it was about continuing a philosophy that has already paid off for the 49ers. Maybe it was about reinforcing a culture that values preparation, development, and long-term vision. And maybe, just maybe, it's a pick that fans will look back on one day and say, yeah, that's when they did it again. Because at the end of the day, you don't need a quarterback until you really, really need one. And when that time comes, you better have someone in the building who's ready. Curtis Rohr might never be QB1 in San Francisco, but he doesn't have to be. He just has to be ready for his moment. Because if the 49ers or the 49ers have proven anything, it's that they know how to make the most out of a quarterback others overlooked. And that's why I believe this pick, quiet as it might be, could end up being one of the most important decisions they made this draft weekend. Now looking ahead, what's really going to be fascinating is how the 49ers manage this quarterback room during the offseason and training camp. You've got Brock Purdy as the starter, of course, and assuming he stays healthy and continues to play at the level he's shown, there's not a lot of reason to expect a shakeup at the top. But when you start thinking about the backup roles, the 2nd and 3rd spots, that's where things could get really competitive. Curtis Rohr might be walking in as the underdog, the rookie who's just happy to be there, but make no mistake, he's going to be evaluated just as intensely as anyone else in that room. And if he impresses, if he shows poise, intelligence, and growth in those early reps, he might just force the coaching staff to take notice. Kyle Shanahan is not a coach who hands out praise or playing time lightly. He's all about execution, fit, and trust. So if Roar begins to show that he can absorb the playbook, make quick decisions, and operate within the structure of the offense, even during limited practice time, that's going to matter. And let's not forget, there's a very real possibility that this quarterback competition trickles into how the practice squad is assembled. With the NFL's rules allowing for elevation on game days, the third quarterback has more strategic value now than ever before. So the idea that Roar could spend the season learning, developing, and still be ready to step up when called upon, that's a pretty solid plan for a team looking to compete at the highest level. And let's just entertain a scenario for a second. Say the 49ers get hit with another wave of injuries at the quarterback position. Something we've seen them go through not that long ago. Say Roar gets bumped up to the active roster and is forced into a game day situation. That's when we'd find out what this pick was really about. Not just potential, not just numbers on paper, but preparation, mentality, being ready when no one expects you to be. That's what separates a 7th rounder who washes out from a 7th rounder who carves out a real NFL career. And in an environment like San Francisco, with elite coaching and a strong locker room, that kind of development is more than possible. So while most people might not be circling Curtis Roar's name on the roster sheet just yet, I'm telling you right now, keep an eye on him. He may not be flashy, he may not be the guy giving highlight reel throws in practice, but he might be exactly the kind of player who flies under the radar and ends up earning his shot, whether that's this season, next season, or somewhere down. The line, the foundation is being laid now. The decision to draft him wasn't random, it wasn't rushed, it was intentional. And now it's all about how he responds to that opportunity. One step at a time, one rep at a time, and if the 49ers have judged this right, they just might have pulled off another late round steal. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to 49ers Zone and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the San Francisco 49ers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a move that has sent shockwaves through the NFL, legendary defensive tackle Aaron Donald is leaving the Los Angeles Rams to join the San Francisco 49ers in what is being hailed as a historic agreement. After years of dominance in a Rams uniform, Donald's decision to trade sides within the NFC West reshapes the balance of power in one of the league's fiercest divisions. Donald, widely regarded as one of the greatest defensive players in NFL. History spent a decade terrorizing quarterbacks for the Rams. A 3-time Defensive Player of the Year and Super Bowl LVI champion, his resume includes 111 career sacks and countless moments of individual brilliance. At age 33, many wondered whether retirement was his next step. But instead, the future Hall of Famer is embarking on a bold new chapter with a team already considered a top contender, the 49ers, known for their punishing defense and recent playoff success, have now added a generational talent to an already elite defensive front. Pairing Donald with stars like Nick Bosa and Fred Warner instantly makes San Francisco's defense one of the most feared in recent memory. The deal, rumored to include a record-breaking contract for a defensive player, signals the 49ers' all-in approach to winning a Super Bowl in the immediate future. For the Rams, Donald's departure marks the end of an era. He was not just a defensive anchor, but the emotional core of the franchise since being drafted in 2014. While LA begins to retool for the future, fans will remember Donald as a symbol of dominance and commitment during the team's most successful stretch in recent history. As for the 49ers, the message is clear. They're not settling for second place. With Donald in red and gold, the path to the Super Bowl just got even more intense and a whole lot more exciting for football fans. Everywhere, that's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the San Francisco 49ers, make sure to subscribe to 49ers Zone and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.